What's up, guys, and welcome back to the fourth quarter of AQR, where we're going to conclude this year with some financial units coming up. Today, we're going to look at the reality of adult life, and I'm going to start with this question. What is the first thing that you think of when you hear the term financial literacy? And along with that, do you think it's important to understand money at your age? These are just some things to kind of get you thinking. Um, do you think that you already understand money or you're confident about managing money? Um, and when will you need to manage your own money? These are all kind of questions that we're going to try to answer as we dive in through this unit and through the rest of this year. So, the importance of managing finances starts with understanding spending, which understanding spending will help individuals make informed decisions about spending and savings. Also, avoiding debt. Effective management of finances can protect against excessive debt and financial distress. Achieving goals. Sound financial management is crucial for reaching personal and financial goals, such as buying a home or retiring comfortably. We should all have some type of goals that we want for our future that does involve financial management for sure. Um, and then empowerment. Being financially literate empowers individuals to make informed choices about their financial future. So here is an adult life scenario. Suppose you are 22 years old. So we're saying that maybe you went to college, maybe you didn't, but this would be about 4 years after you graduate. You just graduated 4 years after you graduate high school, I guess. You just graduated college. So let's say that you did go to college. You have a full time job. Now what? What's the plan? So do we have bills? And if so, what bills are they? What do you have to pay for monthly? And what if something breaks? What if you want to travel? So I want you to consider that and think about some of those things moving forward. Okay. This leads us into our first spot to fill into our notes. We'll get into what we just asked here later on. Um, but today we're going to start off talking about financial literacy, which is the ability to understand how money works, including budgeting, savings, investing, as well as managing debt. And why we call this financial literacy is because literacy is being knowledgeable and enough in something like finances to understand it and to make good decisions and not just impulse decisions or whatever other thing may be affecting how we spend or um, yeah. So some important financial importance of financial literacy. For one, financial literacy helps with budgeting and avoiding debt. It also teaches savings for future goals such as college and emergencies, and it impacts employment choices and lifestyle decisions. So, do we think that money management or money understanding money is something that you're born with? Or do you think that it's something that is acquired and learned over time? So, to kind of summarize what we just said, financial literacy and why it matters. It matters because, and this goes along with your notes, it matters because we want to avoid debt. We want to reach goals and we want to have we want to be able to control our lifestyle. So, on this next part in your notes, if you're watching this video, I want you to pause it real quick and think about 5 monthly expenses you think adults have. Okay? So, 5 different things that you think that adults have, meaning bills that they have to pay for, certain things that they have to pay. And um, as we're going through this, like if you're watching the video, I would pause it and write some stuff down. Um, but we'll talk about it. Like these are some things like myself. I've got a house, so I have to pay a mortgage, what's called a mortgage. Um, I have to put food in the pantry, something that I have to pay for. I have to pay insurance, not only health related, but also um, car related, um, house related, things like that. I also have a truck. My wife has a car. We have to pay things with our car, such as gas, car payments. Sometimes we don't have car payments. If we're good with our finances, we buy things that we can afford, maybe hopefully pay cash. Um, but we still have to have that car insured, and we still have to put gas in that car. So cars can have a couple different things to them. Like you can have a car payment, but if you have a car, you're going to have gas that you have to put in there, and then you have to insure that car in case you get into an accident. If not just for your own repair, but if you hit somebody else and have to fix their car, your insurance company has to be able to cover that, or you can get sued. Utilities are things like gas and water and electricity. Debt, that can be credit card related, that can be student loan related, that can be a lot of things. Phones and streaming services, those are just to name a few. So these are expenses that adults have. Not all of them, but those are just some. So the idea is making money it's not always necessarily easy, but it's easier to make money than it is to manage it. Managing money is hard. So here is a kind of a situation that we're going to get into. So suppose that you make 60,000 per year. Would you say that you're rich? And then why or why not? So what is 6,000 a year monthly? And is that before or after taxes? And when I say taxes and I'm going to insert this word deductions, what does that mean? What is that taken? What are things that are taken out of your check? So I'm going to come back to that here in just a second. So what comes out of your paycheck? And so one of the things that comes out are federal taxes. Are taxes optional to pay, or do we have to pay them? We have to pay them. They come out automatically. Um, does everyone pay the same amount? No. It depends on how much you make. State taxes. Some states have state taxes. Texas does not. That would come out. Social Security, paying into Social Security. Those are things that come out of your paycheck. Medicare as well. Insurance, health insurance, life insurance, maybe, depending on what type of benefits the company that you're working for offers and what you actually elect that you want. Okay. So we're going to have a couple of vocabulary words come up. You guys have probably heard these two before. When we talk about gross income is what you actually make, what your employer says you're going to be making an hour or you're going to be making as a salary. So in this last example where I said 60,000, that is our gross annual income. Annual meaning yearly. That's how much I make a year. Net is what you take home. So the things that we just talked about a second ago, what's taken out of your paycheck, that stuff's taken out of your paycheck, and what's left over is called your net. Okay. So we're gonna. This unit is all over budgeting, and budgeting is gonna be a tool that helps us make sure that we don't overspend and we live within our means. So when we look at budgeting, most bills and things like that we're doing are paid monthly. Um, which one of these do we think is more important for budgeting? Looking at our gross income or our net income, and why? Well, it should be our net, because our net is saying what you have available every month. And then if you only have, I don't know, $3,000 available every month, because that's your net. But if you look at your gross monthly, if you wanted to do that, your gross monthly was $3,800. You don't actually have $3,800 every month. You only have $3,000 every month. So it doesn't make sense to budget with money that you don't have. So we're going to look at this example. This is also in your notes. So we're going at the bottom of your notes in that first blank. Assume that 20% is going to go towards taxes and other deductions. So taxes and other deductions. So the very first thing we have, and we're going to assume that we have a salary of $60,000. What we're trying to find is our net monthly income. How much money do we have available to spend every month? All right, so we'd start off with our $60,000. And to figure out if we have 20% deductions, we're going to multiply 60,000 by 0.2, writing 20% as a decimal, and that's going to give us $12,000. That is how much our deductions are. Okay, so this is our gross, and this is our net, but this is our annual net that we're about to find. So I'm gonna take that deduction amount, 12,000, and that's going to give me 48,000. So this is how much I net. But like I said a second ago, like I don't have 48,000 coming in every month. I have that coming in every year, and I don't pay my rent every year. I pay it every month. I don't pay my electricity every year. I pay it every month. I don't pay Netflix every year. I pay it every month. I don't pay my cell phone every year. I pay it every month. So I need to figure out how much of this I have available every month. Okay, so we do that by dividing, obviously, by however many months are in a year, which would be 12, and then we end up with 4,000. So that is our net monthly income. That's how much money we have available every single month coming in. Sometimes if you work an hourly job, like my wife is a nurse, and her hours are not consistent, so she might work 45 hours one week, and one week she might work 60. So it's going to vary from week to week. If you have a salary job like mine, it's pretty consistent. It is consistent. Okay. So $60,000 a year, a salary of $60,000 does not mean you have $60,000 of spending money. It's not a lot of money, and it's not making you rich in terms of I have $60,000 to spend if you are an active living adult that has bills to pay. That's kind of what the point of this is. And this is at the top of the second page of your notes. So $60,000 does not equal $60,000 in spending money is what you should fill into that blank. So I'm going to have you guys do this quick guided example with the 36,000, just kind of like we did with the 60,000. And let's look at the net monthly income if you make $36,000 instead of 60. All right. So really quickly, this is what we would fill into those blanks. Start off with $36,000. Our gross times our same deductions of, we're just going to use that 0.2, and I'm going to do that for y'all's project as well. Just keep that at 0.2 just to kind of keep it flat and even. That's going to come out to $7,200 taken out of this $3,600 to give us our net, which is 28,000. And then I want to find the net, the monthly net, which is 2,400. So that's how much I have available every single month coming in. All right, so let's look at these two lives. We've got a net monthly income of $4,000, but we're told that we have a degree here, and the other one has $2,400, and we told that we don't have a degree. Now, I am not suggesting that because you have a degree, you're going to all of a sudden make more. Statistically speaking, at that age of 22, with a degree and without a degree, you more than likely will make more if you have a degree, even if you're getting a job into something that you like didn't actually get a degree in. So this is just throwing some numbers out there. With a degree, you make 4,000. Without a degree, you make 2,400. That's your net monthly. So is one of these automatically better? And I want you to consider this. What else matters besides income? So here I make $4,000, but I'm told that I have a degree. What might that mean with something that I might have that's going to affect this number? Well, if I have a degree, it means I went to school. And if I went to school, I could potentially have student loans that I have to repay for. So that's something additional that I wouldn't have to pay for down here. Does that make sense? Now, I might not be paying $1,600 a month in student loans, so I still might be coming out on top up here, but I still have, I still have expenses up here that I don't have down here. So, and that debt matters. You have to pay that. You don't. It's not optional to pay that student loan debt. I mean, it is, but uh, if you don't pay it, that will deeply hurt your credit, and there'll be consequences for your financial future in terms of being able to get loans and credits and things like that later on. Okay, so we looked at how to calculate basically net monthly income today, and looked at some of the reality of adult life and how much things cost, what's taken out of our checks, things like that. Maybe not so much what things cost in terms of expenses, but we'll look at that more tomorrow, where we'll be actually looking at real bills next to those incomes. And then you'll decide if $4,000 still feels big or feels more small. So keep in mind, we have $4,000 coming in because you're 22 years old. You have a degree, you have $4,000. Now what? We'll look at how that feels tomorrow after we look at some real type of expenses.